Good morning. Good morning. Happy Saturday morning. Where I am in the US, it is Saturday morning. So glad that you are able to join us. So, wherever you are in the world, glad that you are here. Hey, today we have an incredible conversation, as we've always done. And this is actually our fourth episode that we've been doing. So glad that you are here. Stay till the end because we do have some special surprises at the very end. But let me just go ahead and introduce myself for those that are new and has not been here to the channel. So my name is Leslie George, and I am the CEO founder of Mosaic Inc. and Mosaic Publishing. And what do we do at Mosaic? What is Mosaic? Mosaic represents, just like the word, represents the fragmented pieces of women's experiences, right? Where their voices are often silenced or overlooked. That's really the champion part of what we do here at Mosaic. And each piece symbolizes the untold stories and the suppressed emotions that, when acknowledged, can bring together and create a powerful and beautiful narrative of resilience. So, Mosaic empowers women to reclaim their voices and transform whatever it is that they had been going through into strength. So, Mosaic Sparks is an offshoot of Mosaic Inc. And Mosaic Sparks, I call the people over here on YouTube the sparklers. And so, Mosaic Sparks, it's just sparking that conversation. You know that when you get talking to a girlfriend, a good girlfriend, a sister, whatever, you guys are talking about certain things and it sparks a conversation. And that's what we do here at Mosaic Sparks, is to spark that conversation with intriguing, visionary founders that have championed the way to start in whatever adversity that they may have started in, but they're still championing the cause. So just want to say again, good morning. Our guest this morning is, check this out, a 30-year veteran. Now, I'm a military brat. I don't know nobody that's been in the military 30 years. And not only that, to be in the military for 30 years and now continue serving, because you got to be a servant to be in the military for 30 years, and to continue serving by now developing her own business, right? I am not going to steal her thunder. I am going to have her introduce herself to all of you, and I am going to help me bring to the stage none other than Rochelle Slay Hemingway.
Good
Good
morning,
morning.
Leslie. Good
Good
morning, everyone. How's everyone? Oh, my goodness. Well, thank you so much, Leslie, for having me here this morning here on the Mosaic Sparks YouTube channel. I am so excited about having this conversation today. Hello, everyone. My name is Rochelle Slay, or Slay Queen Hemingway. You may have heard that affectionately, that's my nickname. But I am the CEO and founder of Slay to Success. And Slay to Success, I advise and empower women professionals, especially women veterans, to step into their most authentic personal brand with confidence, so that they can gain lucrative opportunities and have options to whatever they want to do in their next chapter. Or, some of my fellow sister veterans, they want to rebrand themselves. And so I definitely have gone through that transition. And yes, I did serve in the Air Force for 30 years. And I absolutely look back on that time, and I just pinch myself and ask myself, did I really do that? Was that me? So, yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yeah, I could imagine pinching yourself, asking, "Is that really me?" 30 years is no joke. 30 years is not no joke from anything, right?
Yeah.
But to be in an institution like the military is no joke. So, want to welcome our guest this morning. Welcome, welcome, Kayron. Glad that. Let me see if I could do this here. There we go. Yes, yes, yes. Good morning, Kayron. Welcome, welcome. Glad that you are
Good morning,
here
Kayla.
with us live. So, we're going to get into some juicy questions that I know the audience would love to get some
Mm.
answers to, right? So, reflecting on those 30 years of service, what motivated you to serve in the military for 3 decades. And how did your experiences shape the person you are today?
Mm. Well, when I think about it, I think I had this deep sense of duty and a love for my country and the desire to be a part of something greater than myself. Um, my experiences in the Air Force really shaped me into being a resilient leader. It taught me the value of discipline, and it instilled in me this unyielding commitment to excellence. So each challenge, every deployment that I went on, all the assignments, and all the moments that I had the opportunity to serve with my fellow service colleagues or service members, it really molded me into the person that I am today. And I am focused, I am more determined, and always ready to lead with integrity.
I love that, right? Sense of pride, discipline, loyalty, and coming out on the other side, some things that it has added to you. You know, when I speak to women, especially women that are still in corporate, a lot of times in corporate, you get stuck on your job title. You get
Mhm.
stuck on the things that they have assigned you to do and not realize that these are transferable skills. Because I talk
Oh,
about
yeah.
transferable skills a lot, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes some women can get stuck in that. So I know that part of your mission and your duty of what you're doing with women is really teaching them that because just like you said, you are more focused, you lead with integrity, and those are skills for 30 years that you were going through. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for that answer. So now, transitioning, how has your transition from the military to entrepreneurship been? And what challenges have you faced during that shift? Because you didn't just leave the military to say, I'm gonna hang out here, right? I'm retired. I'm
Yeah.
done. I done did my due diligence or whatever word you want to use. I'm done, right? You
Right.
went from military to say, nah, I'm gonna start my own business. So
Yeah.
how was that?
Oh my. That transition has been exhilarating and challenging at the same time. It's an everyday journey. Like I transitioned in October of 2021 officially. I had my retirement ceremony in June of 2021, and they give you like 3 months of what we call like leave, terminal leave. And at the time, I didn't know what I was going to do in the transition or into the civilian life. I wrote a book about my experience in the military, just writing from each base to base to base. And it was just a way for me to get my story out there because, as we grow older and time passes, some of the things that had happened, and I'd say for us, we tend to forget. And I was challenged by one of my mentors to say, hey, you know what? You should really write a book about your experience because a Black woman serving in the military and to be able to serve for 30 years and reach the highest enlisted rank on and serve in the highest enlisted position on an installation is is definitely something that should be written about. And I said, okay, look. So I took up on that challenge. And so I wrote the book and then I said, you know what? Let me just see where this takes me. And then people were starting to call me about coming and speaking about my experiences. They wanted me to encourage and inspire other women who are still serving in the uniform. Um, but when I look back at it, I left a structured environment from being in the Air Force because very conforming, high conforming. And I had to navigate this unpredictable world that we live in. And now then become a businesswoman, which required a significant mindset shift. And one of the significant and biggest challenges that I had was rebranding myself, not just as a veteran, because I'm very proud to be a woman veteran, but as a businesswoman. And I have a unique value proposition. So I had 3 decades of developing resiliency. And now I'm able to tackle on some obstacles head on, but slowly, because I'm not trying to be like I was in the military. I'm really doing things intentional so that way I don't burn myself out, so I don't, give myself, undue stress that sometimes we put on ourselves, especially as high performing leaders. I'm very ambitious, and so I when I I'm given a task or a challenge, I go for it, but sometimes it's at a cost. And I sacrificed a whole lot when I was in the military. So this time I'm doing something differently and I'm carving out a new path for myself. So transition is an emotional journey. And sometimes people don't look at it that way. They look at it as, well, I'm just going to start into something. I've had my highs and my lows. And I started to realize that there were certain stages of transition and emotional stages that you go through. And so I've been paying close attention to that. And it's almost like grieving for a loss. I served for a very long time and I was good at what I was doing. I was thriving in conditions where they were not designed for me to succeed. But leaving something that I've known for so long, I had to look at it as, well, oh, right, I'm free. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, well, what am I doing? I'm having disempowering thoughts. I don't really think that I could continue on or do well. I don't know what success is going to look like for me in this next chapter. So I've had to, go through these stages, and I'm at the point right now because I've been 3 years, almost 3 years retired, of stabilizing and really finding my footing as a veteran entrepreneur. So yeah, transitioning is something that I'm still working through, and it's a process, but I'm absolutely loving my journey.
You gave so many key nuggets, but just let me just say good morning to Lead Like a CEO. Welcome, welcome. Glad that you are here. You gave so many nuggets. The first one I want to touch on is being coachable. That's like when you find a woman that has done a plethora of things and still can embark on being coachable, doing something new and
Yeah,
listening to others, because like you said, someone said you should write a book. And so
yeah,
because of her saying, you should write a book to capture everything that you went through, you went ahead and did that.
yeah,
And that to me is such a secret that nobody really talks about, is that coachability. Because if you can put aside what you've known, and now you're going into new waters, new whatever, and someone can show you the way, I think that that's absolutely incredible. So thank you so much for that. And also, what you touched on is the burnout.
yeah,
The burnout for high achieving women, like
yeah,
we can go and go and go. But what you said is that you are pacing yourself in this
absolutely.
chapter. And
Yes.
are you able to touch a little bit on that? Because I feel that most of the women that's going to be watching can identify with that, right? Because
Yeah.
as women, we wear a lot of hats. So let's forget about even being a high achiever. So you're wearing multiple hats, right? So
Mhm.
you're your wife, your daughter, your mom, you're all these things, right? So it comes with all those layers. And then now you're in the workplace, and then now in the workplace, and my audience, I show up with diverse Black women, right? So in
Yeah,
terms of a Black woman in the United States, I know I have international viewers, but in the United States kind of operates a little bit different. So as
yeah,
a Black woman in whatever field, and for you in the military, talking about burnout and what that looks like. Why? Because you got to show up extra,
extra,
right? So
extra,
let's talk
yes.
talk a little bit about that.
Well, okay, so, you know, and Chevy, Lead Like a CEO show. She's also a veteran as well. And so thank you, Chevy, for being here. Um, when I was serving in the military, especially getting into the higher leadership roles, there was a lot of pressure for me to perform well. Like I had in my mind now whether or not I was doing it right, in my mind, I had to be all the things to everybody. That's what I thought. So I would get up 4:30, work out because that was the only time that I really had to myself, if you will. Um, and I would be at work by 7 o'clock. I would work all day long. I mean, sometimes standing up and eating in front of my desk because I didn't think I had enough time to sit and just kind of be. And I would work 12-hour shifts, 14-hour shifts, no problem. And I am married, and my husband, he also served for 30 years in the Air Force. And we have a son who is now 14 years old. So I would do that repeat on and on and on and on and on. And when I retired, I found I was so tired. I mean, I felt like I felt like I had done way too much because I had to prove myself that I was worthy of being the leader in these roles because I was getting challenged every single day. So I served at Ellsworth Air Force Base in South Dakota the last 2.5 years of my career, and I was serving as the Command Chief Master Sergeant. And for those that are not quite familiar with the military structure and the ranks and the positions and so forth, there are three people that I'll say run the base. There is a wing commander who is the top person. Then there's a vice commander, which is the second person. And then there's a command chief master sergeant. And so we were leading through the pandemic. We led through George Floyd. There was so many mission changes at that particular base. All the bombers, if you could think of the bombers that carry missiles, they go to all different parts of the world and they drop bombs. That is where we were responsible for all the activities, health and wellness of over 8,000 personnel at the time. So I felt like I needed to be on all the time. I had two phones. I had my personal phone and I had my work phone. And I would get calls in the middle of the night. So sometimes I would just go back into work really tired, um, maybe a little bit agitated, um, not feeling up to my best, but I would just push through. So when I retired, I decided to roll that thing on back. I said, you know what? My alarm clock was going off at 5 o'clock, and my husband, who had retired maybe a year and a half before me, he said, "Hey, why is that alarm clock going off at 5 o'clock in the morning? We don't have to do that anymore." And I was like, hmm, yeah, you're probably right. So I started to walk that back, and now I wake up when my eyes wake up. And usually that's probably between 7 and 7:30. Now we have our son who is going to school. I am there for our son when he goes to school, when he comes back from school, one of us is here. And we didn't have that a lot of times. Our son was living with my parents between TDYs, deployments, um, uh, change of assignments. We would send our son to our parents because we just could not have him go through the rigmarole that happens when you're transferring from one place or if you're overseas for a long period of time. So there's a lot of like fluctuation and so forth. And so now we're more at a stable environment. And I don't put a lot of pressure on myself to get all the things done. Now, in business, there are things that you need to keep up on if you're looking to grow your business and build your business. And so I am looking at that, but I don't stay up late at night like I would when I would be in the military. I usually go to bed between 9:30 and 10 o'clock. I'm very consistent with that because I do need rest. And I think that it's important for us to understand that we don't have to do all the things all the time. We can, take our time in some things. We don't have to feel rushed. I felt rushed when I was in the military. I felt like I had to go from one thing to the next thing, and I could not drop anything. And now, I mean, I go and get some stretches. I go get massages every now and again. I definitely go get my hair and my nails done. And those are times for me to just to relax, take it easy, and be with myself. Leslie, you're on mute.
Thank you.
You were.
I said that there was just so much in there to unpack, and I heard two things. I heard sacrifices,
Yeah,
especially with and I'm very visual, so I am envisioning after you and your husband retired, because he retired before you, and that
yeah,
alarm clock going off because you had been doing that for so long.
yeah,
And so, kudos to him and kudos to anyone that has a significant other that can kind of remind us that we don't have to do all the things, right? So I
yeah,
want to say that part. And when you mentioned about rest,
yeah,
rest is so important. And to just encompass all of it, what you've done is you have humanized yourself,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because when you were doing all the things and got the two phones and waking up in the middle of the night and rushing your child off, and for those that are parents out there, you have a child. That's no easy feat for you to be having your child, your young child, to be off with someone else raising them, right? So the
Oh,
internal turmoil that
it
you
was
as yeah,
it was a lot, Leslie.
yeah.
And I do look back occasionally, and I don't want to dwell in it because it can be very emotional. But I remember in my mind, in my last deployment, and AJ, and that's his nickname, y'all. His name is Andrew James, but I call him AJ. I think I'm the only one who really calls him AJ. But I was just thinking, well, who's gonna wipe him? He's not at the point where he can wipe himself. I mean, those were the kind of thoughts I was having in my mind because my parents they're old school, and so they were like, "No, he got to do it all on his own." And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" But just that little thought in my mind made me sit into like mom guilt, and I thought, "What am I doing out here when I have a child who needs me, who needs us?" My husband, who was retiring at the time, he was going through his, so we decided to send him to our parents, but he had been going every year, for 3 months at a time, and sometimes twice a year because we were changing stations and deploying. So, I had to think about those sacrifices a lot, like, "What in the world?" And now I'm like, I am definitely doing things a lot different. And I'm not, that parent who's like out there, doing things without making sure he and my husband are good before I step out. There's a lot of communication. We communicated, but it was like fast, you know what I mean? Like, and it was text, "Hey, I'm going here and there." Now we sit down and we really talk through some of our future vision. Like, what do we want to do in the next 10, 15 years? How do we want this to look like? So that has been very important. And it has helped me to really have this footing that I didn't really have when I was in the military.
So thank you for expanding on that, because see
Yeah.
what that does is you are in a very unique place where you can
Hmm.
help other women, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
as we know throughout the world, that is something that women struggle with, the mom guilt, right? And
Yeah.
so you can really, because we can only, you have some people that may speak from theory, but I
Yeah,
do believe that to be genuine and authentic, we can only speak from our own experiences. And
absolutely.
so as you've
Absolutely.
gone through the multiple experiences that you're able to share with us today, which I think is absolutely incredible, this is how you're able to help other women. So thank you so much for expanding on that.
You're welcome.
Because first of all, mom guilt is a real thing, right?
Oh,
And
it is.
and so, many women struggle with that. I know for me, I had to be at work for 8 o'clock, and I would drop my daughter off at the before care, like at 20 to 8. And one time I even got a letter written to me from the principal that, no, you cannot drop her off at this time. We don't open at this time, right? And now you're kind of stuck because when you show up to whatever position, job that you have, like nobody says that, remember, you're a mom too. They're just
Yeah,
interested in who you are when you show up at their location, right? So,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah,
So thank you so much for
and
that.
also to add on to that, we need to really pay attention to what our children are saying to us,
Ooh.
because my son, um, let me know, um, when he felt like he was being neglected, and he would be the last person a lot of times that was being picked up from the child care center. And, I picked him up one day and he said, "You don't love me."
Mm,
And I said, "What?" He says, "Why do you always pick me up last? Why am I always the last kid? Why don't you pick me up earlier?"
mm,
So, of course, that was very hard. It really hurt my feelings too to think, wow, he didn't want to stay there at the daycare with those kids all day. He wanted to spend time with me. And so I went back to my boss and I said, "Listen, these meetings that we have at like 4:30 and 5 o'clock, they're gonna have to end or start earlier, or I'm just gonna have to leave. I need to make sure that I'm taking care of my son. I can't have him thinking that he's the afterthought. All right." And so my boss at the time, and of course I was in a position where I could start to say these things. I know sometimes
right.
women are not in position to say these types of things, but I was, and I said, I need to be there for him and I need to pick him up at a decent time. And they all were like, "Okay, yeah, like that's what you need to do." So, but it didn't work out all the time, but at least I started putting it as, okay, this might be a priority today. Like, let me go pick him up 2 hours earlier and let's just have our time together, whether or not that's going and go get McDonald's or, walking in the mall or something different that he could say, "At least my mom picked me up early."
Yes. Yes, yes. Thank you so much for that. Because yeah, you're right. Not everyone, can adjust their schedule. For me, I did go to my boss because I had the letter from the principal, and I said, I'll take I'll take, instead of an hour lunch, I'll take a half an hour lunch."
Yeah,
And she was able to work with me. But here's the other thing as well, right? Some women, whether you're in a position or not, don't have the courage to even do it
yeah,
because they're afraid of the ramifications.
absolutely.
So, as we're talking about from the battlefield to the boardroom, I
Yeah,
think it is also, and it is important for employers to recognize those things, to hold space for moms, dads, parents, if grandparents are taking care of the children, to even hold space for those people, and don't make it seem like it's something very awkward for me to come and say I need an adjusted schedule or I need whatever.
yeah,
I think that part is just so important,
I agree.
because that is a cycle that's not never gonna stop. You have babies being born all the time in this country, right? And you
Yeah,
have moms and dads trying to figure this out. Yes, there's parental leave and so forth, but that's only for a finite time when they're first born.
yeah.
That thing leads all the way up to high school. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah,
and even when
Oh,
you take them
yeah.
off to college, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, so that is so important. And it's interesting because one of the next questions I have for you is how do you balance your continued service with the demands of growing your business? And what strategies do you use to maintain these responsibilities? So that kind of
Oh,
feeds it to kind of what we just talked about.
yeah. Well, okay. So one of the things that I really started to be mindful of is time management. Um, and also having a clear sense of purpose. So I work, and I'll put work, and I'll put it in air quotes because, as an entrepreneur, it can fluctuate every single day. So I get up, I work out, and I'm usually ready to go between, 9:30 and 10 o'clock. And I already have it planned out on what I'm going to be doing for the day. And then I prioritize these tasks based on the impact that I need, making sure that what I'm doing is really aligning with the broader mission of what I am setting out to do, which is really empowering other women. And so for me to manage these responsibilities that I have now as a businesswoman, I would have to rely on strategies like setting clear boundaries, practicing self care, and staying organized. Um, so this and I wouldn't say it's a balance. I say it's more of harmony because you got to integrate, and sometimes you're working on something that may take a little bit of extra time. And sometimes you just don't have anything planned for the day, right? So I have to make sure that I'm serving with passion and I'm showing people that, I have the same level of dedication that I had in the military as I do to my business. So it's an everyday um plan for me. But time management, like I have like the Pomodoro technique. I've been practicing that for many years now. But now in my entrepreneur journey, I really work on something, and whatever that something is, um, for about 50 minutes. I can really pay attention to something about 50 minutes. And for me, then I take a break for like 20 minutes. That might be 10 minutes of go getting a snack and maybe 10 minutes, maybe walking on the treadmill or going outside. It just depends on what I need. And then I get back to it. And a lot of times I have these thoughts because we are creatives as business, women. We have these thoughts that come up. And so I'm like, oh my goodness, when we can relax and we can take breaks and we can really find out like what is important and what will help and then write those things down and then take some action to get those things done, it's really helped me to find a balance. Now, I don't have anything scheduled for Fridays. That is my day to do whatever. And do whatever for me could be a million and one things. It could be shopping. That's one of my things that I enjoy doing. It could be, going out for a longer walk. It could be getting my son from school because sometimes we do have like these little dates where I get him early from school. Um, Going with my husband on lunch dates. I mean, it could be a number of things, but I wanted to take some time and give me um, just a day. I just needed a day to reset, to recalibrate, and then get back at it again. So those are some ways.
Great strategies. I love when you mentioned the harmony, right? Because
Yeah,
it's hard to manage time. And I
it
say this
is.
because, whether we want to or not, the sun is going to rise and it's going to set. So I love when you brought in harmony, and you talked about clear boundaries because without
Yeah,
that, the things that you need to get done in your business and in your personal life really won't get done because, if you don't have clear, distinct boundaries for yourself. And I
yeah,
think it even goes a step further in terms of communicating those boundaries to others. It can be a challenge. And in some of my trainings, what I tell people are boundaries are not for other people. Boundaries
Right.
are for us. It is
Absolutely.
for us to know how we are maneuvering with external forces, friends, family, whatever, whatever. The boundaries are really for us. And I think a lot of people kind of flip that and think boundaries are for other people. It ain't got
Yeah.
nothing to do with other people. It has to do with
No.
you.
Yeah. And you have to be able to be firm
Yes,
with your boundaries and, really knowing why you doing what you're doing and for what reasons, and
absolutely.
not letting anyone or anything get in the way of that. So, it is definitely for me because I've been conditioned for so long, where people were just, it didn't matter what was going on. They didn't care
Right.
what you had. You know what I'm saying? Like they could spring something on you in a minute and you just had to adjust. Now it's more of, wait a minute. I am um, actually going to stick to what I said I was going to do. And now you're going to see this is part of what I am doing. Please do not interrupt. All right. And if you do, I'm going to be, um, I come back and I'm kind about it, but I share with them, I have other things that are scheduled, or that time is not going to work for me. How about this time? We can say things not in a mean way, not in a, aggressive or hurtful way. We just can express to other people, hey, this is what we got going on. And here are some other options, and if they want to work with that, great. If they don't, it's okay. Okay. It's okay. And that's what I had to come terms with.
Absolutely. I think you said this was Chevy.
Yeah.
And because I remember those days, r- ratting at my desk while at work, heading to the youth center, right when they closed to pick up my kids. Like, yeah, that is, whew.
I think, yeah, and I think she meant eating at her desk
Okay.
because,
Yeah.
yeah, because I mean, that's what you did. You just think about it. They say, well, they try to give you like 30 minutes or, an hour for lunch. You got an hour for lunch, right? And then when he step out to do the hour for lunch, it's like, where are you?
Mm,
I'm at lunch.
wow.
But what we decided to do was sit there at our desk and be available. And then when they see you, they be like, "Oh, you're here."
Mm-mm.
You know what I mean? And so that can go on and on and on and on. So we definitely have to be clear on our boundaries and step into it and protect it at all cost.
Absolutely, absolutely. Welcome, Jay. Glad that you were able to join us live here this morning as well. So,
Hey,
so
Jay.
glad. So, as we are coming up on our halfway mark, just want to thank those that are here live with us. We have Karan, we have Chevy, and we have Jay Johnny Walker. So glad that you guys are here, and hope you're taking notes and getting some of these juicy boulders that Slay is dropping as we go through these things. So let's just shift and let's talk about your platform. So, in what ways do you use your platform, both as a vet and a business owner, to empower other women in leadership roles?
Hmm. Okay. I have a lot going on, y'all. Oh, I have a lot going on. Um, so my business has evolved over the past few years. When I started out, I was organizing and putting on luncheons. And within the luncheons, I was having like these mini workshops, about confidence, about empowering yourself with certain skills. And I did a couple of those. And I'm looking forward to doing more of those as my business grows. And I also created two talk shows, y'all. I mean, I love to talk, as some of you know. Um, and I decided, well, you know what? I'm going to bring guests on a show. So I created this show. It's called Slay to Success Talk Show. It's on Sunday nights. and I bring in a guest, and Leslie has been a guest. In fact, Leslie and K. Ron and Chevy have been a guest on the show um, in over the past couple of years. And I use that platform to bring men and women on there who are positively impacting the world and making a difference on their own terms. And this platform has really been a way for women and men to like get their voice be heard. I especially work with women veterans because I firmly believe I walk their shoes. I understand what it is that they go through. I understand their dreams. I understand where they would like to be. And so it's just for me, I love connection. I love learning different perspectives and having insights of other individuals who are starting out like I am. I've also written 3 books, y'all. And the first book, I really wanted to share my journey of being in the military because, I had the first 10 years I was in my career and I really didn't know what I was doing. I really didn't. But over time, I started to realize that I was going to make this a career. But I had a lot of adversity. I had a lot of obstacles. I had a lot of opposition. And I just wanted to share some strategies on how to move through that and navigate in a male dominated environment. So it's solving so many problems, such as, like we talked about, overcoming burnout, navigating spaces that weren't designed for you to especially succeed in, giving yourself some grace. Having the ability to move yourself, your mindset, and shift it to a different way and perspective as opposed to getting angry and upset about how people were talking to you and how people were taking you in. And it all starts with us. And then I created 2 more books. One of the other books is called Own Your Power, and it's about personal branding. So I am a personal brand expert. That's what I usually speak to because I have really I branded myself while I was in the military, but once you transition, you have to go through another evolution, if you will. And I just needed um, a way to transition. And for me, I started to really think about personal branding. So it encompasses the appearance, your body language, communication skills, and your digital presence. And so in these 4 areas, I've been able to really make a name for myself outside of the military. And I'm absolutely enjoying the process. And I want every woman who has gone through my journey to be able to do the same. We don't have to wait until somebody tells us, it's time. We can just start doing it today. If you want to make a decision on, how you want to be or what you want to be in this next chapter, or if you're going into a leadership role, or, you're looking to do something different, this is the way to do it. So I wrote a book about personal branding for women over 40 because I think 40 is something about the year 40. We sometimes stop believing in our dreams. We stop believing in ourselves. Our kids are growing up. We've got a lot of other responsibilities, but we have a lot of things that we still want to do. So it is a strategy for sure. So I've created that. And then I have another book called Elevate Your Image. And that's when I go into organizations and I do presentations and workshops for anyone. Because companies are looking for something different to provide, but also to solve the problem, especially after the pandemic, where people are a little bit more lax than they were before. And their companies, companies are a brand. All right. And so they want people in their companies to represent the brand. And a lot of times in this competitive world, it's about the people and how they're showing up. So I am helping organizations to elevate their image, their personnel's or employees' images or companies' images. So that is, the platforms that I've created, and we all have platforms, especially with social media. We all have the ability to either be on podcast, have our own shows, write blogs, um, have workshops. You can do them virtual or in person. Create experiences for the audience that we are assigned to. And so I have just been grateful and honored that I get to spend time with such incredible women who are they're high performing, are high achieving, but yet and still every now and again they may lose their confidence or may lose a little bit of stepping because of whatever is going on in their life because transitions are happening all the time.
Wow, my goodness. Basically, you're saying we have the power,
We
right?
do.
We have the power. Kudos to you. Congratulations to you. Writing 3 books, 2 talk shows. That's no easy feat, but you are dedicated and committed. Just like you said, the different things that you learned in the military. And, as you said, we really have, we can choose to do whatever.
Yeah.
Just during this week, I was looking at my stats, and I think I'm in 5 different countries. I'm in
Hmm.
South Korea, Mexico, Japan, South Korea, Mexico, Japan, the UK, Australia. And I've been wanting to do a YouTube channel for a long time. But here's the thing, sometimes we think that we have to fit into a certain mold. And your
Hmm.
talk show is on Sundays, right?
Yeah.
I do mine on Saturday at 10 o'clock. Why? Because that's the time that suits me. And I was just sharing with my son yesterday that I had been stuck for about 2 years of, yeah, it's been a desire, but I thought I had to do it Monday through Friday. And I
Mm.
knew that Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, I knew that that couldn't work for me.
Yeah.
And so I just finally decided, oh, well, let me choose a time that works. And based on the time that works, everything will fall in line. Why? Because at the same time, when you're doing something, you want to have fun doing it. And I love doing these. I love interviewing women, right? Because you get to hear their stories, and I love to be a part of sharing women's stories, right? So I
Yeah.
absolutely love this. Now, if I had to do this maybe Monday at noon, I don't know if I really love it that much. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
I agree. You gotta find the right time that works for you. I mean,
absolutely,
because
absolutely.
that is the part of the consistency,
Yes,
you know what I
yes.
mean? And your people will show up because they know you're showing up.
Yes, yes,
So yeah.
yes. We have the power. We can do it. You can create community. You can do whatever. And so yeah, just want to say once again, congratulations to you,
Thank
Slay.
you. Thank you.
So as we are shifting a little bit, you talked about integrity, and so integrity, as we know, is a cornerstone of leadership.
Yeah.
Can you share a time when your integrity was tested
Oh,
and
yeah.
how you stayed true to your values? I know that's
Yeah.
a loaded. I know that's a loaded question.
Oh my. I have had so many situations that happened during my career. So many situations. Um, I do want to share the one about when I was notified that I had achieved Chief Master Sergeant, which again is the highest enlisted rank. And for those that are familiar, it's E9. Um, I was so excited when I was told that, you have achieved this rank. My husband had achieved it about 2 years prior to me. And at the time, I think I was like 25 years in, y'all. And so I was like, man, I finally made it. But it quickly turned into turmoil. Um, there was leaders that did not want me to be a chief, that didn't think or believe that I could be a chief. And I spiraled out of control. And I am not proud of some of the things that I said and did because I was so angry in the moment. Like, how dare you steal my opportunity that I have done? I put in so much hard work. I have done what I've been told to do. And I've repeatedly showed that I can be an incredible leader. And yet, and still, you want to challenge me and say that I am not worthy. So it really caused me to think, I even told my husband, I think I'm going to retire. I mean, I was eligible to retire at 20 years. Um, and I just decided, I'll continue on. And when I stopped for a minute and really did some self-reflection on who I wanted to be as a chief, I had to decide, y'all, to let it go. I had to let it go because it was creating, I was morphing into a different person. And I did not want to be that angry woman that just was, so completely disappointed in the system when I knew that my other fellow chiefs, female, Black chiefs that were before me, who created the path for me, probably had to go through the same thing. So, how was I going to continue on and be the leader that I knew that I could be in my most authentic way? And that's when I started to really get true to who I was and how I want to show up. And if people decided, hey, you know what? No, you're not that woman that needs to be in a leadership role because now you get to tell us in their minds. And I think this is really something too that, as women leaders that we don't really think about, you know, when you're in a male dominated environment, there are others who don't believe that a woman should be in a leadership role because, quote unquote, now a woman's telling me what to do. And that feeling, I could sit in it or I could just rise to the occasion and say, you know what? I know what you're already thinking. I know what you're probably going to do. Let me create some strategies and kind of navigate and push through because I do want to see myself as a person that people can look to and rely on. And it's a huge responsibility. I'm ready to take on the responsibility, knowing that I'm going to have a lot of struggle. And I did all the way up until the end. But I stayed true to myself. And I also looked at how my values, how did I want to package my values? This is how Slay came to be, y'all. So Leslie, I'm just going to go in a little bit more about the Slay.
Absolutely. Let's have it.
Mhm. So in two so as I was putting on chief, okay, y'all. So I found out I had a line number because you don't get to put on a rank right away. I found out I had a line number in 2016 for chief. I didn't put on the actual rank until 2017. So even with all the mayhem and people saying that no, she can't be, and then try to put up these blocks and so forth for me not to get the rank, um, I put on the rank, no paperwork, no nothing. There was nothing that came of it because I really think that people already knew, like, she's just getting tested. She's getting tested and she is going to be victorious. We see her just moving through this and not being bothered. I was bothered, but I didn't allow people to see that I was bothered by it so much. And I had Dominique, and he was very supportive. And again, he had on Chief, so I could bounce ideas off of him. I could vent, I could cry, I can yell, I could scream, and all those things. And he was like, "Okay, now what you gonna do?" So when I put on the rank of chief, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be an E9. I'm going to be a chief master sergeant in the United States Air Force. Here I go. And about a year in, I got orders to go on the last deployment to Kuwait and Jordan. And 3 days before I left, one of my airmen, who I was very close to, he passed away from he had a battle with depression. So he lost his battle. I couldn't do anything. I was the highest enlisted member in the clinic because I was a medic, y'all. And I couldn't go to his funeral. I couldn't go to his memorial service because I had orders to deploy 3 days. So I went on that deployment just broken. I was very broken. I didn't know how I was going to move through that deployment. I actually went on a deployment with the sense of like, y'all ain't gonna mess with me out here, okay? I don't want to be out here met with some nonsense of some foolishness. So I started to journal. And when I started journaling every day about my feelings about being out there, about my feelings about losing him, about my feelings of people not thinking that I could do well as a chief, the word slay kept popping up because it was a word. It was his word. It was my airman's word. And I said, what does this word really mean? Because again, I was older and he was much younger. And so I looked at the word and it means to kill it, to dominate it, and to nail it, to be on point, to impress greatly, to dream big and work hard until you own it. And he would tell me, Chief, you are slaying it. And I had this light bulb that just turned on. Wow, what can I do with this word? I've been doing this for the past, up to that point, 26, 27 years. Yes, I've been slaying it. And I want others to believe that they can do that too. So I took the word and I converted it into an acronym before my last role because my last role I was on stages and I needed something to hang my hat on. I needed something to encompass my core values. What really resonated with me the most? What got me to where I was at? And it was 4 different things. And I attached them to the word slay. So S stands for stay ready to be ready. I had to be ready, y'all. I had to be ready for deployments, TDYs, conversations, people, all the things. I remember I got a short notice deployment to Vietnam. I had to get prepared in like 2 weeks, and I was not ready like I should have. But man, from that point on, I was always ready. If they said, "Hey, you've got to have make sure that your bag is set up with these items in it," I made sure that those items were there. If they said, "Hey, you're going to give a presentation to decision makers," I would make sure that I spent some time to prepare that. And that's how I now do whatever I do. I do presentations and speeches all the time. And so I'm like, I am prepared because it's better to be prepared for an opportunity than have an opportunity to present yourself and not be prepared. So that's one. L is lead out loud. I went from supervising 2 people, and I was fine with doing that. Okay. 2 people to 40 something people in 2 days. They had fired someone that was outranked me. And this is when I was a tech sergeant. So that's a few years, back when I was stationed in Japan. And I had to lead 40 plus people. And that really, I decided I wasn't going to be in the background. When I was in leadership roles, I was going to step up to the plate. Regardless how many times I failed and what I had to put myself through, if I had an opportunity to lead, I'm going to lead out loud. All right. If I got something to say, I need to speak up. If people don't have a platform, I need to advocate for them because I do have it now. So now I got to take, matters into my own hand. And so I encourage women who get into these leadership roles to never shrink, all right, and play small, to make sure that their voice is being heard, to have conviction and the confidence that they need to express their ideas, their opinions, to give their perspective when it's called upon. And leadership is, there's so many ways to do leadership, and you just have to find your own leadership style and not never, think about like how everyone else is leading. Think about what is true to you and your best authentic self. And then why is really the foundation to what I do. It is you are built to last. You are built to last. I've gone through a many of things, y'all. And not even just from the military standpoint. I look at my childhood and I think about the girl that was 200 pounds, obese, very shy, very timid, um, did as she was told, didn't really have a voice a lot of times, and matured and blossomed into this woman that I am today. And it was because of the resiliency, my strength, my courage, the tenacity, my determination, my grit. You know, yeah, I still work out every single day. And in my workouts, I think about you are built to last. You can push through this hard workout today. Oh, she says to do 50 burpees. Let's go. Let's hit it. Oh, you're supposed to be sprinting at 7.5, 8.0 miles per hour at 52 years old. Let's try. You may not get to that point, but let's try, Queen. And that's in my way, this mindset that shifted for me like you are built to last. It's in your DNA. You're a powerhouse. And that's what I try to share with other women who are in my space, who are within earshot of me. You are built to last. Don't ever give up on things that you know that deep down inside of you that you have. Never give up on that. Always think about how you can just take one little action. That's all it really takes. If you have a thought and you're like, man, that's been nudging at me, you know, think about it. What is your legacy going to be? That's really where I'm at. Like, what is it going to be saying when I'm gone, when I don't have another day on this earth to do what I want to do and the passion that I have? So those are really, I mean, it's a lot to like wrap your head around, but at the same time, it's very simple. It's very simple to me. So that is the sleigh.
That was absolutely incredible. And we have Jay. She says she never knew the story. So
Oh,
impactful. And he got it right. You def slay in everything you do. So thanks, Jay, for that.
thank you, Jay.
Um, you know what I love about authenticity. So, we hear that word a lot,
Yeah.
authenticity, but I'm not sure people really break that down. And what you were able to share is this is a rank that you wanted to get to, but when you got there, ooh, this thing didn't look like the way it need to look like. So I might need to dip out. Some people may just hold on to that just for the sake of holding on to that. But in terms of how do you show up in your authenticity? And I don't know if anyone else besides your husband knew that you were struggling. I don't know.
Oh,
Um, okay, so other people knew that you were struggling, but
other people knew, my boss knew, my supervisor at the time, my direct supervisor, the the immediate circle of my we call them our flight chiefs. They knew. Um, some of the senior leaders across the base, they knew. Like things people knew, but you know what? When other people believe in you more than you do, there is something that has to shift, and I started to think about that because they were like, you got this. You know what you're doing. You just need to keep moving. We see you as our leader. All these other people that call themselves leaders, they're really not. Like you're the informal leader. We need you to hang in there. I mean, these are things that people telling me, but for whatever reason, I thought in my head, oh, they're just talking. But when I gave my speech and when I put on that rank, my dad was in the crowd, my mom was in the crowd, my sisters, my brother were in the crowd, my husband, my son, and I laid it out. And I said, this is what and who I am. And I just went in hard. Like, this is how I'm going to show up. I'm not going to discount myself anymore. I'm not going to stop believing in myself. I'm not going to play into the whole way that we think about, what other people say about us. And I'm just going to show up me. And that's what I did. And it was like, it was so easy. I mean, not easy like being tested, but easy for me to stay grounded, and to move forward and to succeed 30 years. Like I got to that finish line that a lot of women sometimes aren't able to do because of many factors. It could be many factors that go on. But I knew that if I could do that, I could show other women you could do it too. You could do it too. So, yeah,
Do it too in the way that
yeah,
feels true to them.
yeah,
Right? That's the authenticity is because when you have that thing that is just not sitting right with you, like that
yeah,
thing is like bothering you at your core. But
yeah,
when you can be authentic and breathe, that's the other part about authenticity for me is that you're able to breathe. When
yeah,
you can be in whatever space that they're going to put you in, and you're chilling and you're breathing and you're just being you. And
yeah,
there is no other space to be in than to just be in that. Because here's the thing, and we hear the phrase all the time, but I do think that, because for me, I had to go through a transition to really understand what that feels like in
yeah,
my body, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
so it's not just a word. It
yeah,
it, it, it is an absolute feeling that what it feels like when you are operating in who I say as who God designed you to be,
yeah.
because that's how he designed you. So thank you too so much. And we have Dr. Watts that join us. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Watts. She says you both are absolutely amazing. Love your transparency. I've learned from you both how to be an authentic self, how to be my authentic self and embrace it and keep showing up as me. Baby
Yes.
girl, baby girl, I'm gonna tell you, keep showing up as you. She is my daughter from another mother. I've watched this young lady grow up and blossom, and I'm just loving her journey of embracing who she is. Because here's the thing, right? She is still in her early 20s, right?
Yeah.
Or in her late 20s, right?
Yeah.
And for me to see young women really own who they are at that age, because I know at that age I was not owning who I was. I ain't know what that looked like, right?
And we've talked about that many a times, right? Like we out there, we were out there. So I was like,
You don't know what that looked like. So I'm so proud of her. So thank you so much for being here. Ladies, thank you for being here with us. And we Slay, when we get talking, the conversation get real juicy.
oh yeah,
So I'm gonna ask you, with everything that you shared with us, what does success look like now in your stage of life? And if you can give us maybe an example, a definition, something. But what does that look like for you now?
well, you know, at this stage in my life and looking back a little bit, it really success is about impact for me.
Mm,
It's really
mm.
about the lives that I'm touching, the women that I'm empowering, the legacy that I'm building. And I think success for all of us it evolves over the years. Success may at one point for me look like getting a high rating on my evaluation report, our yearly evaluation reports, or getting awards, being recognized for my achievements, um, and being put into positions that were really high level and highly coveted. And so it was more about rank and the recognition, because it is a system where they reward you on that. And so I always kind of looked at my report card as making sure that all these little blocks were filled. And now it's really about creating a lasting and positive change in the world, using my voice, um, and showing up as this this woman who has all this expertise, these skills, these experiences that I can just help someone else who may be just struggling, maybe not struggling a lot, but maybe just struggling on one thing. And I just share with them and then they just go for it. And the example of my evolution is my transitioning from focusing on individual accomplishments to mentoring others and helping them to achieve their goals. I get called a lot, I get DMs a lot, y'all. And one of the things that, blows my mind every single time is when a woman that I have never met, maybe they have experienced me on LinkedIn, because y'all, I show up on LinkedIn all the time, well, every day, really. Or I do my show and there's comments, and then they come back and they said, you know what? I just heard you for, a little bit, or I read your post today, and oh my gosh, you just helped me to get through a bad day. That for me is success. Or, someone read my book and they were like, wow, like I am able now to speak up for myself. I didn't think that I could actually, tell somebody about my feelings that I've had for a very long time. Or I get women who are still serving in the military. Hey, I'm going up for a promotion. Do you have any words of advice for me? And I share with them, and then they come back to me and say, guess what happened today? I'm like, what you got? I got promoted, or I got that job. That right there in itself, for me, I don't need, like all the things anymore. I've got a lot of all the things. If I turn this camera around, y'all see pictures and plaques in here and the walls that I have accumulated over the years. But that's not really what I'm about anymore. I love it when my son comes home and tells me, I got through that hard workout today. Like he went to basketball practice this morning. And you know what he says? Mom, I slayed it. For me, that's a compliment for me. That's for me to realize that I am making an impact in my son's life, a positive impact, so that way he can continue on. So it's more of words than of anything when I hear about success. I also like when people say, I referred you because I knew you would just bring it without any reservation, without holding back. And that for me, I am just grateful. I am really grateful that I get to and that I want to, not that I have to. I get to impact in many ways that I didn't think that I could in this next chapter.
Woo. Mm-mm-mm. Let me just bring on Brenda, the solutionist. We're in another community together. Brenda, thank you for being here. She
Oh.
put this is so powerful. Thank you for your transparency. And she loved when you said about impact, that word impact. And I think I was trying to type in the chat for our children.
Yes.
When our children can recognize what mama daddy is doing like that, there is nothing better than that. So for your son to come home and say, Ma, I slayed it today, I can only imagine you could just lay on the floor and said, okay, I'm done now. I'm
I'm
done.
done.
Because
I'm
here's the thing with our children, right? And I say this all the time when I talk about community, it starts in your house,
done. Mhm.
then it's your neighborhood,
Mhm.
then we can go out and want to impact the world. But for
Yeah.
me, if home is not tight,
Oh,
to be going out there, yeah, home got to be tight. And so for our children, for them, because what he's doing, he's watching.
he's
You're
watching.
not telling him, he's watching. And that's the greatest impact, because children learn by watching. They don't learn by us telling them anything. So oh wow, that there was wow, that's so much. And I love what you said about, as we go through in terms of what success looks like.
Mhm.
Um, we go through life, it does change.
It
And
does.
so for anyone that's listening, for deaf, because we all have different demographics that follow us. For those that are listening, for those that maybe in their early 20s or in their 30s or whatever, and you may be chasing something, there's no need to chase that thing because you being here, understanding what your purpose is here,
Mhm.
and you move in that,
Yeah,
you will create such an incredible ripple effect in this world that
absolutely.
you may not even know the people that you affect, right? Like I said, there's the people that watch in South Korea. I mean, I've never been to South Korea, right? But
Yeah,
but move in how God designed you
yeah,
and in your purpose, and
yeah,
just move in that, because all the other things will come. But I believe that every single one of us, we have a purpose. God designed us for a purpose, and I believe that our purpose is always connected to another human being,
absolutely,
right?
absolutely,
That
absolutely.
that's the only way we're going to make impact and make significant change,
Yeah,
is to be connected to, and I always talk about one. So it can be connected to a whole bunch, but let's start with that one. Be
yeah,
connected to that one. Let's pray.
absolutely.
Thank you so much. And
You're welcome.
as we get ready to round off, you talked a little bit about legacy. I love talking about legacy because I think legacy is so important,
Yeah,
because there will be one day that we are not here. Our children, our grandchildren, our great great grandchildren. I like to go deep, like 7, 8 generations, and
yeah.
what would that look like for 7, 8 generations for Slay, right? So, what kind of legacy do you hope to leave behind, both in your career, both in your personal life, both in also in your business? What do you hope for that to look like?
Mm. I hope to leave behind one of empowerment, one of resiliency, one of leadership. So, from my military career, I want to be remembered as a leader who served with honor and uplifted those that were around me. Um, like I said before, the greatest compliment for me is when people that I have led that are still serving who reach back to me and tell me about their experience with me or how I taught them something, how I gave them a tool that they have been using to find their own success. And then they're passing it down to others. And when I get like, oh, during my retirement speech, I talked about you. You talked about me. The impression that we leave on people, it could be good or it could be bad. And the goal for me is to have this impression that just as she was a just a powerful woman who didn't take no for an answer, who really knew herself and started to believe that, man, anything is possible. And through my business, I want to create a legacy of empowered women who are confident, all right, with no apology necessary, and who are ready to lead with authenticity. This world right now is in mayhem. There's a lot of craziness that is going on. It's very unpredictable. There's a lot of uncertainty. And, you know, a lot of times we discount ourselves as women leaders. We're like, oh, well, they'll figure it out. But do you know that we are peacemakers, that we create opportunities that no other persons, a male, can make? And so we have to lean into that. And so I'm encouraging other women to step up to doing something. I my legacy for sure, and it also includes my husband, because my husband is from Harlem, New York, y'all. He grew up in the projects. He came from nothing really. His mom was a hard worker, and we both served in our own right 30 years in the Air Force, which already changed the trajectory of our family's lineage, just in that in itself, because most of our family members served for 4 years, 8 years, or and so forth, but they never really served like a lengthy service. So in their eyes, when they see us as the power couple, the leaders of the family. But I don't want that just to be for us. I want that to be for the families to come. I also um, saw that we love education. My husband got his doctorate degree. This is a man from Harlem, New York, got his doctor's degree while he was on active duty. And so he's leading the way and showing his family, hey, you don't have to just be what you thought you had to be because of the environment and that you were in. You can change that. And so I went and got my master's degree in strategic leadership after I retired. It wasn't while I was still on active duty, but I realized that I wanted to change things for some of my family members and to encourage them to step up into their power. Um, and then business. So I don't have a lot of entrepreneurs in our family. We don't like have business women, if you will. I mean, we've had women in my family who have had side hustles. They we have very I have very talented women who do hair, nails, cook. My grandmother had a bed and breakfast, and my mom, she is an entrepreneur in her own right, but a business that grows and is wealthy and is passionate and it is inspired by purpose driven work. Like, that is what I want for our next generations to come. And I want to see that evolve. I want to see women doing it better than I am. And so starting something and getting people to understand that we don't have to necessarily be in a 9 to 5, which I think sometimes our family members in the past, that's what they relied on, was a 9 to 5. But to really truly believe in the gifts and talents that they have, and they can create wealth with that, that is what I want my family to know and see about me.
I love that, right? Create wealth. So
Yeah.
not just to have a business, but to create wealth that continues. There's different actors and actresses and song and singers, and you hear them talk about they have money for 3 and 4 generations, and
Yeah.
we have that in our fingertips. So thank you for sharing that, to really put a different perspective on being an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
Because um, say what you will about the ex-president,
Yeah.
his family knows about wealth,
They do.
right?
Yeah, they do.
And so for generations to come, they still gonna be mentioning that name, right?
Yep. Mhm.
So why not, as women, we be in that position and not necessarily having a hustle, but because of your purpose and your impact, you're creating wealth. I absolutely love that, because it's not about being rich. Being rich and wealth is two different things.
Two different things.
Two different
Two
things.
different things.
I love, love, love that. So we got some
Mhm.
comments from Dr. Watts. I love seeing women walk in their purpose. I believe that it inspires all generations to do better so they can receive the torch. Yes. And the other generation can pass the torch. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Because we're not going to be here forever. And and then she had another um seeing ladies bold enough to walk in purpose driven work is such an inspiration. It keeps me so motivated, and it gives me the example that it can be done. Absolutely. Thank you
Yes.
so much for your comments. Absolutely. Because, when I look at boldness, Some people may think the word boldness they might associate that with being aggressive. I
Yeah.
look at boldness as being courageous,
Yes, I
right?
too.
Because
Mhm.
it takes courage to show up authentically as yourself,
Yep.
whatever that is. It takes courage to let somebody know, hey, this is how I operate. These are my boundaries in anything.
Yeah.
So it's not that it's not a pick and choose, right? So being bold, and I sign my books that way. Being bold, it is just so important. And I feel, like you mentioned earlier, being in male dominated fields where men are going to say, ah, no, I want to listen to no woman.
Yeah.
But we already know that we have that. We already have that, right?
Yeah.
So how do you show up boldly, not rudely, but show up boldly in who you are? And it's so funny because I've been called so many different things. I've been, oh, she's so forward, and or she may be aggressive, or I've been called so many different words. And
Yeah.
one thing used to bother me, I really don't anymore.
Yeah.
And I saw a video by the lady that does Skinny Margarita. I think
Oh,
that's the name.
yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah. And she said, in your 40s, you kind of don't care. In your 50s, don't give a damn. In your 60s, you could care less, right? So I just don't really give a damn because for me, that is me being in my authentic self, right?
Yeah.
And then at the same time, one of the things that I would say is, Slay, if I say something that bothers you and upsets you, you need to say something.
Mhm.
That also is courage on your part,
Yeah, absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
Because it takes courage for you to show up
Mm,
as who
mhm.
you are, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so boldness for me encompasses courage. And
Yeah.
sometimes as women, and I keep on saying I'm going to do a post on this, is being nice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That in itself is
Ooh.
something that always comes up, and it came up for me too, like, "You
Mm,
should be sweet. Why aren't you so
mm.
sweet?" And I'm like, "What is this? I don't understand what you're talking about."
Yeah,
I wasn't designed to be here and somebody's doormat. You're not gonna walk all over me, and you
absolutely.
just want me to play nice.
Exactly.
Because I've been conditioned, women in society, that's what we have been told that we should be doing, play
Exactly.
nice.
Exactly.
Nice don't get you into places and spaces that you need to be in.
It
All
don't.
right?
It
It
don't.
doesn't.
No.
Because they take advantage of it and
Mhm, mhm,
then you do the regret. You go back and
mhm.
like, how many times have you were around a conversation and you repeat that conversation, and in that conversation you basically gave in,
Mm,
oh, okay.
yeah,
No, and you knew what was being said was not right. And you didn't speak up for it. You just allowed it to be.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice don't have you start two talk shows and write three books,
No.
right?
No.
Nice don't get you to make your own momentum.
No.
Nice have you sitting back in a corner
Mhm.
and waiting, because at one time I did that, waiting for someone to tap you on the shoulder, right?
Exactly.
That's what nice does. And
Mhm.
and because and there's two layers. We're black women, right? So
Yeah.
black women,
Yeah.
and don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about being rude. I'm
Yeah.
just talking about speaking for yourself. As you mentioned, we talked about boundaries earlier and we talked about boldness. So, yeah,
Yeah.
this has been, wow, this has been so incredible, Slate. Thank you so much. And then
You're
as
welcome.
as we get ready to wrap up, I want to thank Brenda for being here, Dr. Watts, Karan, Jay, Chevy, and who else is here that didn't get a chance to comment. We're so grateful that you are here. Please like, share, and also make comments here on the show. We would love to read any comments that you have. And if you are watching on the replay, just put in hashtag replay as you come back so that we can, because Slay would also like to comment on anything that you leave. So, two things.
Yeah,
Slay has a giveaway.
I
And
do.
so, anyone that types in the chat, how long has Slay been in the military? We're gonna see if you've been paying attention. First person to type in the chat how long Slay has been in the military will get one of her books as a giveaway. So first one to type how long Slay's been in the military will give that as a giveaway. And as we wait on that, I wanted to share, because today is the first day that I can share. I know earlier this year, I had people vote on it was the best business consultant, um, best in Florida. And hey, China Ebony, glad that you are here. Yeah, if you just got here, then you probably don't know the answer to that, but I'm glad that you are here. Anyway, so Mosaic Inc. got voted best company in Florida, and really
Oh,
excited about that. And you'll be seeing some shares. I'll share on my social later on, but it's all because of the voting that each and every one of you have done. So it is something that we all share together. But I couldn't say anything until the 31st. So I was waiting to see if they were going to share it on their platform. They haven't, but I can't share it until the 31st, which is today. So thank you all so much for that. You know, Mosaic has been around since 2018, gone through the pandemic and different changes. So for that accolade is absolutely amazing. So thank you.
yeah, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you so much for that. All right, well, we don't have anybody that put it in the chat. I'm gonna give like 30 seconds and then Slay. As we do that for 30 seconds, anything that you want to leave, any parting words that you want to leave as we get ready to wrap up, and I'll give us 30 seconds for anybody to put that in the chat. So any parting words?
I do. I think one of the things that continues to come up is sometimes we believe that it's not meant for us. Like our age may be a factor. People have told us that, man, well, you're 50. What are you doing? What are you trying to prove? What do there's nothing more for you, right? You're too old. I have gotten the side eyes because I show up in pink. Okay. Um, every event that I go to, it's part of my brand. And sometimes people will look and go, "Is that all the only color that you know and wear?" And you know what? I just say, guess what? This is me. This is me showing up. If you've got a problem with that, right? That's not a me thing, that's a you thing. So show up in how you want to show up. Never discount what you want to do. I am a true testament. I could have easily sat on my porch on the rocking chair, looking at whoever comes down the road, making sure that, things are safe in the neighborhood, because I have done 3 decades, okay, in the military. And so I have more. And when you have more to give, set out and just start doing. I started to attend a lot of networking events in alignment with what my business goals are, and some of my initiatives. So I go to networking events and I meet new people all the time, people outside of the military that I never even thought I would have an opportunity to meet or to even talk to. um, I just started to work on things that I found to be interesting and very passionate about. I got my image consultant certification and my motivational speaking certification. These are certifications that I just wanted to know more information. No one told me that I needed to do those things. I just did it because I wanted to learn more about those particular topics. So, whatever it is that you want to do, want to be, how you want to move in your next chapter or going into that new leadership role, and maybe you need some refinement in, take a look and do an evaluation, and then just set a course to just actually do it. I think that's the important thing is the action. Sometimes we don't want to take the action because it can look really scary. And believe me, I am taking a lot of risk and I am scared at times when I go on to new adventures, but I always think about the times that I was in the military and how I got through those. And I could do the same things in this next chapter. So keep on slaying everybody until you can't slay no more.
Wow. Thank you so much. You're never too old or too young to start what is it that you want to do. So thank you so much for that. This has been an incredible, incredible show. We've been on here, Slay. Can you imagine an hour and
Oh man,
35 minutes?
I already look. I already knew. I mean, we could be on here all day. We've done this all day thing before. So this is this is
Wow.
par for the course, y'all. I mean, seriously, y'all just
Oh
gotta
my
take
goodness. Thank you. And thank you for those that have stuck with us and watched with us as well. So once again, Slay has laid it out. We talked about from the battlefield to the boardroom. And just because you're not coming from the battlefield, wherever you're coming from can feel like a battlefield. She was on an
yes,
actual battlefield, but wherever you're coming from can feel like that. And the boardroom can be your own business, the
yeah,
boardroom can be in your career. But at
yep,
the end of the day, show up authentically in integrity and boldness, and you can do whatever it is that you want to do. So, once again, Slay, thank you so much. Thank you to our viewers, for those that are going to come back and watch the replay. Hashtag replay. Let us know where you're watching from, and we'll see you. The next show goes live. We go live the second Saturday and the fourth Saturday of every month. Bye for now.